Hello and welcome to Meet Me Here. I am your host, Chico Boccaccio, and this is my motherfucking podcast. Woo! Snaps, finger snaps, air horns, DJs, all the things. Um, yeah, this is my first episode, and I was really thinking about what I'm going to talk about because it's been on my mind to start this podcast for a really long time, and I've been super excited about it and have so many ideas written down. But you know, when you're so overwhelmed with like all these ideas and you're like, it's the first episode, I need to make sure that they learn who I am, they know what they're signing up for, if you will, subscribing to, liking, commenting on, sharing, hello, all the things. In pondering what I was going to discuss on this first episode, I decided to just be my authentic self, tell you guys a story, and hopefully through the story, you'll figure out what kind of person I am and what kind of content you are going to get on this podcast, okay? So, in this episode, we're going to be discussing how to waste men's time. This is something I feel like I'm very good at. I have perfected the art, and honestly, it's something we just need to do more of. Men waste our time too much, and we need to get on their level, okay? So here's how. Last week, I had a man knock on my door. In these neighborhoods out here in Atlanta, sometimes you'll have, well, at least in my neighborhood, it doesn't happen so often, but every so often you'll have like those people walk around, ring your doorbell, trying to sell you something or convert you to Jehovah Witnessing. What is it called? You know how like Christianity is Christianity and there's Islam and Judaism and all these things? What do you call a Jehovah's Witness? Just a Jehovah's Witness. Anyway, they were trying to convert me. Not him. His mission was not that of conversion. His was something else. So he rings the bell. I have two children I have to put away, Cornelius Jeffrey and Corona Maria. Those are the loves of my life, my two fur babies. There's no real children around here, only the kind with four legs that walk around and bark, okay? Cornelius is my firstborn son. He is perfect. There is nothing you can tell me about him that will make me think otherwise. Corona Maria is the wild child. She is the wild card. Her middle name is Maria because how do you solve a problem like Maria? Oh, look at that bass. I gave y'all the bass. No, but really, her name is 100% who she is. It's her personality. Oh, hello. Cornelius's middle name is kind of cool too. His middle name is Jeffrey, but you gotta say it like Young Thug. Jeffrey. Yeah. So, anyway, back to wasting men's time. So, the guy knocks or rings the bell. I put my dogs away, open the door. Nice white guy who's just kind of like, hey, I'm doing your neighbor's windows, replacing your neighbor's windows, and I noticed that yours look like shit. I can help you with a problem. Let me help. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, my windows do look like crap. First of all, he didn't say my windows look like shit. He said it in a way more professional manner. But this is just my version of the story, okay? This is what happened in my mind. He told me my windows look like shit, which apparently I didn't even fucking know that you have to replace your windows every 20 years. Apparently in America, you have to do that. Because let me tell you something, my house in Kenya, because that's where I'm originally from, ever since that thing was built, my mom has never replaced a window. Other than that one that, some girl broke because we were golfing in the backyard and it definitely went through her bedroom window. But other than replacing a broken glass, that has never had to happen. But apparently in America, the way they build them, there's like two windows stuffed together. So there's like room in the middle, and over a certain amount of years, there'll be like condensation and stuff that will get stuck in the middle of the two glasses. Look at me telling you how to build a window. Oh, change of career. If you ever wanted to, hello, this is all you need to know. Every 20 years, replace your windows because condensation in the middle. So obviously I know my windows look really bad and need replacing, but we know it's a big project and it'll cost us a lot of money, me and my husband. So it's been something that's not really on the top of the renovations, you know? I would rather buy a new candle for $40 than save up to get my windows replaced. Anyway, he was a really nice guy. He starts telling me about like his company and how they've done projects around the area, blah, blah, blah. My husband at this point is working upstairs, and I can hear him open his door and kind of listen into our conversation. So I'm like, you know what? That's another man that I need to get into this conversation. Why the hell am I standing out here talking to him about windows when I have a husband? Like, this is not my job. That's why I have a husband. So, so I call him to deal with it, and he is pissed because apparently this guy knocks on our doors or tries to knock on our doors at least every 6 months, and I'm just never here to deal with it. But he ignores them all the time. But I'm like, shit, now the door is open. I already said my husband is upstairs. You better come downstairs and deal with the situation, right? So Christian, who's my husband, I'm just gonna say his name because he's gonna come up a lot. That's like the bestie, the homie, the ride or die, okay? He goes downstairs to talk to this guy, but kind of throws me under the bus and is like, hey, I have a meeting to go to. I'm gonna call my wife to continue talking to you. That was not part of the plan, sir. That was not part of the plan. You were supposed to handle this. Why am I... Whoa. Breaking shit, sorry. Why am I the one coming back into this situation having to deal with him? I know I started it, but I'm not supposed to finish it. So long story short, I have to go down there and continue talking to the guy. The next thing I know, I'm on a phone conversation with the guy who's supposed to come out and measure the windows and give us a quote. I thought the guy who knocked on my door was supposed to do all that. Why have I been talking to you for like 20 minutes? What's the point of you if someone else is going to come and do the job? Anyway, I set an appointment for that evening because I know in my heart that I'm not going to be in my house that evening to deal with it. So I'm like, the guy can come take measurements around 6 p.m. because I know my husband's gonna be there, I won't be there, and life can continue. Now that evening I had plans. My plans were to go for a protest. Well, not necessarily a protest. That evening I had planned to go make art. Now, not any kind of art. November 4th, 2023, just in case you guys are listening to this on a different planet or in a different time zone. On that day, there was supposed to be, or there were, marches in BC for the freedom of Palestine, demanding a ceasefire, trying to make the American government stop donating money, blah, blah, blah. Now, I live in Atlanta, and I knew I was not gonna go on those buses to DC because as much as I care about causes, I also kind of not there yet going for such big marches like that. Like, I'll do the local stuff, but not like the big stuff because Americans are fucking crazy, man. I grew up in Kenya and this country is wild. Like, think about the January 6th incident in Congress. Like, these people are fucking crazy. So I don't like to be in crowds in any kind of situation, let alone in something that we're marching for a cause. Like, I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet, if I'm being honest. However, there was an event in Atlanta where we were supposed to make art and signs and banners for all the people who were going to DC. You see, that I can do. I can do the little sign making and everything, or our local protests, but the big stuff like that, my anxiety just won't let me do that right now. So I planned that evening to go and make art for the march. Now I finished talking to the guy downstairs. We finished the phone conversation with the guy who's supposed to be coming to take the measurements. I schedule him for 6 p.m. I go upstairs and tell my husband, by the way, we have a guy coming this evening. He's coming at 6. He's gonna measure the windows and give us a quote. There's no pressure. The quote will be good for a year. So even if right now we decide not to do it, we have a year to decide on how to do it. And he's also gonna give us the interest rates or the financing options or whatever the case may be. Now, obviously, he's not happy with me because he's like, what the fuck, girl? You just left me to deal with all of this when you're going to fucking make art, you know? And in my heart, I'm like, yeah, I did. And what about it? Okay. So in my heart, that's how I was feeling. But like my outward expression was not that, because obviously you can't like be an asshole outwards. That's not my character. Like, I'm an asshole in my heart, and then whatever comes out of my mouth is good. Or tries to be good. Anyway, I end up checking the parking situation and the traffic situation to go to the art event and don't even end up going. Because one thing about me, I need to know the parking situation before I go anywhere. And I also drive like kind of a big car. So parallel parking is already that much more difficult because of the kind of car that I drive. So if the parking situation is gonna be something that stresses me out, I'm not going. So as soon as I checked where the venue is that I was supposed to go that evening, I was like, nah, I support the mission, I support the cause, but my anxiety is not going to allow me to have a good time there. So we're just gonna cancel that situation, right? So I go to my husband's office and I'm like, listen, I decided I'm not gonna go for the thing tonight, so I will be here with you to handle this window situation. That kind of diffuses the flame that was brewing or sparking within him. And he's like, okay, she set this shit up, but at least she's going to be here with me to handle the situation. So around 6 o'clock, just like scheduled, the guy comes over. It's this really nice guy, walks in the house, very chatty, starts telling us stories. Now, I didn't know this was supposed to be a sales thing, but as soon as he walked into our house and the vibe that I got, I was like, oh shit, I just signed us up for a time. First of all, this is not what I was expecting him to look like. I was expecting someone who looks like a construction worker, like a plumber or like an electrician or someone who does hard work, like someone who gets their hands dirty and has boots and jeans that look like they've been through life. He probably wore those same pants when his daughter was born, when his son was born, for New Year's 2004. That kind of guy is what I was looking for, but that was not who I got. I got a guy who was very put together. He was very well spoken too, and just not the vibe that I was expecting. So we sat down at the dining table and he pulls out his iPad. Bruh. As soon as that iPad came out, I was like, Lord, we are going to be here for some time. The guy starts telling us about the company and when they were founded and who founded them and the charities that they work with and the different bro, it was like a whole PowerPoint presentation. Bro, at some point I wasn't even listening to what he had to say. Like, he had a dope ass PowerPoint though. I have a background in education, so when I was looking at his PowerPoint, I was like, oh, this is really nice. It's so engaging. It has animations. The charts were like charting, appearing. The graphs were graphing, doing their thing. Yeah, it was a really good one. What he was saying, who the fuck knows, because I was not listening. So now it's about 7 and my husband is like, oh yeah, football starts in an hour, because it was, I think, a Monday or a Thursday or something like that, but we had football. And in our family, American football is something that we watch. I don't know when I became like this. In the 10 years that I've lived in America, I did not like this sport, but like in the last maybe like 2 or 3 years, it's really become something that me and my husband enjoy, and it's a time it's like an event that we do together, watch football, cook dinner, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, shit, it's 7 o'clock. Football is in an hour. This guy is still talking and my windows have not been measured. What the hell? I thought I was the one who was supposed to be wasting y'all's time, and now he's wasting mine. When I tell you I knew so much information about this guy by that 7 o'clock mark, I knew his wife, I knew his baby, I knew where he lives, where they're building, all the plans, all the things, his mom, his siblings, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here like, damn, this is like actually like a good person and a decent conversation, but I just want my windows fucking measured. And that's not happening. Yeah, that's where I was. Trying not to be a bitch, but at the same time, I'm distracted by this point. First of all, having me sit down for an hour is a gift from God. I don't know how to do that kind of shit. I felt like I was in college again, being forced to sit down for lectures. And Lord knows, even in college, going for those lectures was a struggle. Me and my friends used to have a group chat, like, are you going to class today? Because if you're not going to class, I'm not going either. And at that point, we were paying for college, and now I'm not paying for anything. I digress, but the point is, like, damn, get to the point is what I wanted. Get to the fucking point. Measure my windows. Measure my windows. Anyway, I got to the point where I was just leaving the table and trying to find other things to do. I went upstairs and played with the dogs a little bit. I took them outside. We hang out. I fed them. I scrolled on Instagram. Like, when you're just like, I don't want to be rude, but I can't sit here anymore, so I'm just gonna walk around my house trying to find other things to do. So I would walk around and then go sit at the table for like 5 minutes, and then walk around and then go back sit at the table, and they're still having the same conversations. And then this guy is like, okay, let me go back to my car. I need to pull out one other thing. He goes back into his car. He comes back. He pulls out like a sample piece of wood that they used on the trim. Nigga, I just want you to fucking like measure these things and like get out of my house so that I can have my evening and watch football and drink my beer. Like, what is going on? I swear he went to his car like 4 times, and each time he came back with something else that is not a tape measure. So I finally had enough. I was like, enough is enough. I'm going, and I'm going for good. So I walked downstairs. I went to the dining room table where my bar is. I poured me a glass of wine, and I told my husband I'm all windowed out. He was like, "You're leaving me?" I said, "Yes, I'm all windowed out." And your girl took her glass of wine, walked her ass upstairs, ran the bathtub, and put on The Housewives of New York. New season, of course. It was the reunion. If you watch Housewives, we need to talk about it. Fun fact, I love reality TV, so you're probably going to have a lot of reality TV episodes coming up. And that's exactly what I did. I left my husband. I left that guy at the dining room table talking about windows while I enjoyed my wine and listened to drama and bullshit of Housewives. Now, this was about 7:30 when I went upstairs, and I was like, surely the presentation can't go that much longer because my husband has already made it a point to say that football starts at 8. This guy heard him and made a comment about it, and they started talking football for another 5 minutes. So I know he heard him. So it can't be that much longer until Christian comes upstairs and is like, yo, this is the quote, this is how much we need to pay, blah, blah, blah. I continue living my best life in my bathtub, which is honestly my emotional support area. If I lived closer to water, it would be the beach, but I'm a water person and I need to be in water to feel good. So the bathroom will do. So I'm in my own world. I'm not really thinking about the men downstairs, and I can barely hear it because I'm watching my show. So I'm like, maybe Christian is done with him. He went home, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, at 8:45, my husband walks into the room and is like, this guy just left. 8:45. He came in at 6. 8:45. What was he doing this entire time? All you had to do was measure the windows and tell us the quote. What were you doing? I was so glad I didn't stay that entire time because, quite honestly, I don't even know what kind of conversation can be had other than windows for that amount of time. But again, it was a sales pitch. He had PowerPoints. He had different briefcases of different materials that the window needs to be made of. Hello? Is it not just glass and some metal? Or fucking wood? So after all this, all I want to know is what the quote is. Because originally, that was my question. I just want to know what the quote is for my windows so we can see if it's feasible and if we can get it done. So I asked Christian, so what's the quote? He's like, $15,000. Huh? What? $15,000? Do you know I have 10 windows? 10 windows in my house, and you want to replace them for $15,000? Am I buying a new house? Am I putting a down payment on my second property? What? Honestly, these are the things that make me want to move back to Africa. Why did I move to America? To have stuffy windows that will be $15,000 to replace? Can I do it myself? Like, hello, DIY windows? Can I go to Home Depot and buy them? I'm sure there's a kit. This country, everyone likes doing things by themselves. I'm sure there's a kit. But anyway, that's a story for another day. But anyway, guys, I don't know what the point of me telling you that story was, but meet me here. Welcome to my podcast. The reason I chose the name Meet Me Here is because I think it is authentic and true to who I am. I am constantly evolving. I am constantly changing. As people, we are too. But more, especially now in my late 20s, I feel like I'm going through this transitional phase or period, and I've noticed a lot of my friends also going through that transitional phase. So regardless of what that is in your life, I want this space to be somewhere where I can share authentic experiences, where I can share funny things. I mean, it is going to be mostly a comedy podcast, but sharing real life things in there as well. I'm a very deep person. I like to have real meaningful conversations, so you will be experiencing some of those on here. But I also like to do it in a comedic way because without humor, life is boring. So if that's your vibe, welcome to the tribe. So welcome to my podcast, Meet Me Here. I'm your host, Chiku Boccaccio, and I will see you next time. Bye!